This week in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, the Crops Convention is underway, which brings together the Canadian grain and oilseed sector. Host of Real Ag Radio, Shaun Haney, joins us now with the very latest. Good to have you with us, Shaun. I know that you hosted a panel on the North American grain trade. What was the message from the panelists?
Yeah, great to be with you here this morning. Definitely a lot of air miles going from Commodity Classic in Denver up to Edmonton, Alberta for the Crops Convention, which is an annual meeting hosted by the Canola Council of Canada and Canada's Grain Council. So a lot of talk about trade here. And I hosted a panel yesterday that had a representative from Canada, the US, and Mexico from the grain export side of the industry. There was a lot of talk from the panel in regards to the need for the grain trade to really collaborate here. A lot of times we talk about an integrated supply chain, but there was a lot of talk about how the three countries really do complement each other. And right now it feels like there's a lot of talk about how Mexico and Canada compete with the US, but the panel really talked about how it's very complementary. One of the examples was North Dakota grown canola being crushed in Manitoba and then that oil going back to the US for sustainable aviation fuel or renewable diesel. Other discussions were the fact that there's a lot of canola meal out of Canada that ends up in the U.S. dairy feeding system, and just the food packaging as well. Oats, most of the oats that are used in North America come out of the province of Saskatchewan and Manitoba. They are shipped to the U.S. for packaging by groups like Quaker, and then shipped really around the U.S. and the rest of the world. So it really focused on that complementary nature of the trading system.
Yeah, a lot of ag synergy there that we can tell. Now, is there strong support for the retaliatory tariffs on the U.S., or they're exploring other options?
Yeah, well, and I guess there's a lot of talk in Canada and Mexico, I think, about what are the options, and that may be a bit of a slim list here, as we're kind of in a period here where there's a disregard for the complementary nature of the trading system. So, I think it depends on. I was talking to an economist, Todd Hirsch, yesterday, and he said, economically, retaliatory tariffs are a bad idea. Okay, you're essentially trying to you're potentially increasing inflation in your own country. I think this is what the U.S. is dealing with the tariffs initially and the retaliatory tariffs that Canada has announced. One of the other options that's being mentioned is export tariffs. Now that may seem like, hey, that sounds better. We're not punishing ourselves. We're punishing the country that's buying the good, like the U.S., putting an export tariff on potentially Canadian oil or maybe potash, for example. But that comes with extreme costs as well, and maybe potentially a real reduction in exports. Just look at the cost to Argentina of that soybean export tax they used to have at 30%. So right now, I think Canada is really evaluating the options and not finding a lot of good ones.
Yeah, and of course, here we are just in the first early stages of this, 3 days in. So keep us posted. That's host of Real Ag Radio, Shaun Haney. Appreciate your time. And this Real Ag Radio update brought to you by Economics. You can go to nutrien-economics.com for the latest crop nutrition research and information. And you can catch Shaun on his show, Real Ag Radio, which airs at 4:30 p.m. Eastern weekdays on Rural Radio, Channel 147 on Sirius XM. And we will talk to him again tomorrow, a Market Day Report.